my name is Elizabeth Fitzpatrick. I am the founder of the Toned Collective. I'm so excited to get into this training with you. This is my Get Toned guide. This is the exact framework that I actually use with my clients inside of the Toned Collective Academy. So if you're here watching this video today, you are most likely a woman. You're either around 30 years old or you're older than 30, and you already eat healthy, you already exercise, and you're frustrated by not seeing results. You're frustrated by not just loving how you look in the mirror. You're frustrated by not liking photos of yourself, not feeling comfy in clothes, not feeling confident with a bikini, not feeling confident naked around your partner, right? So we are here to get you feeling the absolute best version of yourself. Remember, it is not vain to want to look good because our physical appearance is a direct reflection of our internal health, right? When we get lean toned, we feel really good, we usually live longer, happier, healthier lives, right? So we're going to get into all of that today. So we're going to start off with the contents. I'm going to start talking just a little bit about who I am so that way you know you can trust me. It's really important I don't want to just be this person that's telling you something, right? I'm just another person on the internet giving you information because I know there's so many coaches out there. There's so much information. The information on Instagram is overwhelming. This person said carbs. This person said no carbs. Who do I listen to? So I want to make sure that you understand that everything I'm giving you here is trustworthy information that you can actually apply that will actually work for you. We'll talk about what the Toned Collective is. I'll show you the Toned Collective ladies as well. We're going to go over the roadmap to getting toned. We are going to talk about the root cause reset, which I'll get into what that is in a minute. We'll go over all of the major pillars to my program. This is exactly the framework you will need to use on your own journey here. So that includes exercise for women's physiology, nutrition that you love and that gets you results as well. We'll talk about rewiring your brain to actually become the woman even capable of seeing results. And we'll also discuss a more custom approach as well. So we're gonna skip that. Okay, so we'll start off here. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about myself. So I am a certified nutrition coach. I'm a certified nutrition coach, a certified personal trainer, and like I said, I am the founder of the Toned Collective Academy. So I was actually a competitive gymnast growing up, so I've always been interested in health and fitness. I studied exercise science, I have a degree in exercise science. When I went to college, I also actually studied nutrition and psychology as well while I was there. I have 10 different specialty certifications when it comes to personal training. So I actually am certified to work with pre and postnatal fitness, corrective exercise, so biomechanics, so you have any injury or limitation or that kind of thing. I got you. I'm certified to work with that in addition to so much more. So when I was training in person, I trained in person for a long time doing one-on-one sessions. I worked at a very exclusive bougie, high-ranked club, and I was, when I say club, I'm talking about like fitness club, and I was actually globally ranked as one of the top trainers there. So I've trained celebrities, movie producers, women that give TED Talks, very high-achieving women, okay? I'm actually going on 9 years of coaching now as well, and even though I have all of that in my background, it almost means nothing to me, and I'm going to tell you exactly why, because the real thing that I think gives me credibility in who I am as a coach is what I had to go through myself. So long story short, to keep this brief, I had a lot of health and fitness problems in my early 20s. I had hypothyroidism, I actually have narcolepsy, I had candida overgrowth, my nervous system was incredibly dysregulated, my gut was really dysregulated. Like I said, my thyroid was underactive. Like I had a lot of things. That's just a few. There's a lot more actually than that as well. And so there was a time period in my mid-20s where I gained over 40 pounds. I didn't know why. And so throughout several years in my mid-20s, I've actually invested over $50,000 myself working with different functional doctors, nutritionists, hormone specialists. And funny enough, my hormones actually crashed at one point. Like my cortisol was so high that it bottomed out. And then my hormones were very close to that of a menopausal woman. So I know what it feels like to go through hormonal stuff as well. Despite all of that, I was able to really figure it out, and I've corrected pretty much all of it other than the narcolepsy, which can't really correct that, but it's managed, I will say. So like you name it, I've been through it struggle wise, and throughout all of that, I've actually shed 40. It's really actually probably closer to 50, but I can't say it for certain because I didn't have the exact measurements at a certain time. So I'll say 40 pounds of body fat, built 10, at this point it's actually probably a little bit more than that, pounds of lean tissue, healed all my hormones, healed my gut, all of this stuff, all while managing the narcolepsy like I mentioned, and while managing real life as well. So that's a little bit more just about who I am. So what the Toned Collective, my program is, like, this is the roadmap that I wish that I had. So I didn't have to go spend $50,000. Okay. So you deserve a roadmap. And I know that so many women out there, like, they want so badly to be fit, right? Like, I know you care. It's not an issue that, like, you don't care about yourself. You don't care about your fitness. You don't care about your health. You care, right? But there's a lot of missing information because, like I said, even though I had all of this knowledge, I still had to go through all of this in order to get to the place I needed to go. And so ultimately, my degree, my certifications, almost all of that information is not even usable to me anymore, because once I went through the practical application of real world experience and actually coaching women and doing it myself, that is the knowledge that I wish that I had prior, so that I didn't have to spend the $50,000, right? So my whole goal through this program is to just help other women who, you know, maybe you've gone through health issues, maybe you haven't, but you just have never had that lean toned body that you've always wanted. And so that's what this program really is to teach you all of that, to teach you how to do that. So that way you don't have to go spend the $50,000, right? So my program specifically, which I'm going to get into what the framework is so you can just put it into practice today. But typically my program is a 6-month, it's completely custom coaching. It's all virtual. It's designed for women, again, who are already putting in the effort, but just not seeing the results that they want. I will say also, because I trained in person one-on-one for a very long time, virtual works better. People get better results because when you do things virtually versus in person, it's a lot more comprehensive typically, but also I teach you how to do it all on your own. So that way you don't need a coach at the gym waiting there for you. And I know right now you may even be like, no, I need that accountability. I promise you, virtual is actually more accountability, because when you're with a trainer in person, you're only seeing them in person. Maybe you text them every so often. Your virtual coach, you are talking to every day. You can send messages to them all day, every day. I promise you it's actually a lot more accountability. So really what I'm gonna do here is, like, this is not cookie cutter. This is me becoming your own personal health and fitness CEO and teaching you how to remove every obstacle that's standing in the way between you and getting the body you want. And I promise you there's a lot of obstacles you don't realize that are there. So that's done through addressing the 3 major pillars. But before I even get to that, I want to talk to you a little bit more about some of my awesome clients. So that way, the reason that I want to show you these transformations is because I want you to know that you, in your exact situation, regardless of what you're going through right now, you can accomplish this. I've worked with women who have 4 or 5 kids and are like, well, I just can't because I have kids. Not true, you can. I've worked with, you'll see it here in a second. I've worked with women of all kinds of circumstances. So I want you to know it is possible. Doesn't matter if you have hormone problems, if you have health problems, you're going through menopause, it is possible for you, okay? It's really important you understand that. That is the first building block to success, is you believing it is possible. Here are a couple of pictures of my own transformation, just so you can see that. So we're gonna start off with talking about my client, Molly. So this is Molly here. So when Molly came to my program in her mid-30s, she was doing cardio every single day, eating healthy. So she actually was a performance cardio athlete. She liked to run, she did marathons, but primarily she was running largely because she felt like she had to in order to get lean, even though she was struggling to get lean on her own. And she became so mentally exhausted because her whole day was consumed with either over exercising or feeling like she was spinning in circles mentally, like obsessing over, why am I not lean? I'm exercising so much. How do I get lean? So talk about someone who is doing all the right things. Like, this is Molly, right? And she was eating healthy as well. So through my program, I actually had her really scale back the working out. So she's working out less. I actually had her eat more because she was not at the right macro distribution. The macros are really important when we talk about fitness, right? Like, we can have health food and fitness, and they're not the same thing, right? So what you would eat for fitness is the same foods as health, but we need certain amounts of it, otherwise you will not see results, okay? So she's actually eating more. The reason I'm saying she's eating more is because the volume of what she's eating. For example, she would eat a ton of nuts. A bunch of nuts were in her diet, right? Okay, so, a little bit of nut doesn't really go a long way hunger-wise, really high calorie, right? So that's just one example of now she's eating a ton more volume, and we changed her macros. So her calories are actually less, but the food quality, the volume of it is so much more. She still goes and has pizza. Actually, when she sent me this message, it was not, I think it was either the night before or the day before that. She went out with friends, had a drink, had a pizza. She doesn't have to stress about restaurant food. That's something her and I discuss often. Look at it, she has abs for the first time in her entire life, right? This is her running marathons. This is her working out less and eating more. And she bought a bikini for the first time since 2008, right? So that is so impressive to me that she has the confidence now and she's learning to really love herself. I can truly say I've tried everything over the last 15 years and nothing worked until this. So powerful. So next I want to talk to you about Jess. So Jess came to me 4 weeks postpartum. She was not even cleared to exercise yet, but that's okay because there's still so much we can do to work towards her health and fitness. And the reason that she wanted to join is because, well, 2 things. One, she felt like she really never had that lean toned body that she had always wanted. And she felt previously like she was really, really obsessed with it, and she recognized the obsession with it was not healthy. And she was obsessing over it and still wasn't at the place that she wanted to be. So she had a baby girl, and it was so important for her that she modeled healthy mental behavior and physical behavior with her health and fitness. She wanted her daughter to grow up seeing her exercise, but also she didn't want to be, obsessing mentally in a bad way about her fitness, and she didn't want her daughter to see her doing that. So that is why she joined my program. So she joined 4 weeks postpartum. Within the first 3 months, she dropped over 20 pounds. It was a little bit over, actually. She had started up a little bit higher here. So it's just a little screenshot. Today, I actually messaged her because today, like 20 minutes ago, I saw she logged in the 140s. So it's been a long time since she's been in the 140s. So that has been super exciting. So this is her transformation here. That's down 20 pounds there. So something really powerful that she said to me is, as I've told you, breastfeeding has been such an important aspect of motherhood journey. And I'm so, so grateful that together we have not only gotten me back to pre-pregnancy weight, which now she hit that today, but have also preserved my milk production. Girl, this girl has so much milk production. It is crazy cool to see that she is fueling her body, which, by the way, she eats almost 2,500 calories a day to have this kind of weight loss. So this is not, oh, we're giving her 1,400 calories. No. This is 2,500 calories, and she has massive amounts of milk production, and her baby is incredibly healthy. And she said here, I just keep thinking about how poorly I would have navigated this whole postpartum journey without you, so thank you. So again, very powerful. Last client story I'm gonna share for now is Laura. So Laura joined my program, and initially she was hesitant, as most actually are when they join, because a lot of people have tried things before that didn't work, which I am the coach women come to when things don't work, by the way, just so you know, I can work with it all, okay? So Laura has been into health and fitness her whole life, and she's worked with a lot of trainers. She was worked with trainers at very, very high performing gyms, like paying $200 a session with her trainer, kind of trainers, okay, for years. So she was a little hesitant, but she actually knew who I was already because of a mutual person that we know in common. And so she did reach out to me. And after joining, she was able to actually recomposition her body during menopause. And most importantly, learn to finally love herself. So this is what she looks like through menopause. Freaking abs popping, coming in. Look at her back muscles. This is 50 years old, y'all. She looks incredible. So something fun that I thought she said here was, because it's officially bikini season, now it's summer, she went to the pool. There's a lot of younger women there, and she was in much better shape than all of them, not hating on, anyone by any means. It was important for her because she had a moment of like, wow, I'm 50. I cannot believe I look like this. And so that was a huge boost of confidence and motivation for her to continue to get hotter, which I absolutely loved. Confidence is so important. Again, it is not vain to want to be hot. You should want to be hot because physical health reflects internal health, right? So she also said this was a separate day that she sent me this message, and she said that she was at the pool and this young woman came up to her and said, "I see you at the gym, you're in great shape." She was probably in her 30s and thought that was so sweet. Another thing that she had said was, "I found my journal data, my journal entry, which is so fascinating to me, May 29th of 2025, so a year ago. She was in Mexico on the beach, and it hurt her heart to read how she was feeling about herself, knowing how hard she was working." So that was like kind of like right as she had joined my program, after she was working with a bunch of other coaches, feeling like she was like, this girl works really hard. And so at that time she was working really hard, putting in a lot of effort, but not doing the right things. And so she said, but that's probably how a lot of people feel with the wrong coach. So this is a big thank you. So again, so now you know everything I'm about to tell you moving forward is the exact framework that I use with all of these clients to get them to this place. So let's get started on the roadmap here. So Get Toned roadmap. The first thing is the root cause reset. So we need to identify all of your roadblocks and then build your custom plan that addresses your roadblocks, okay? This is the piece, well, this is one of the pieces that a lot of other programs miss. They'll say, here's your workout plan, here's your nutrition plan. However, there is a reason why, you could chat GPT those things, okay? There's a reason why you're not sticking to it. We need to figure out what that is, and that way address it and incorporate it into your plan so that way you can actually stay consistent. So the next piece here is exercise for women's physiology following progressive overload. So we'll dive deeper into that there. The next step here is developing a positive relationship with food, learning how to eat for both health and fitness without giving up your favorite foods. So this way it's actually sustainable. It's very, very important that I'm not just like, hey, here's your macros, here's a meal plan, good luck. Like, a lot of women actually have a very negative relationship with food, even if you eat healthy. And so it's very important to me that you have a very positive relationship with food, that you really like what you're eating, that you like your plan, that you don't feel too restrictive. I actually really prioritize giving my women as high calorie as possible while still being able to cut fat. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about how I do that. And again, just making sure that it's very sustainable. If your plan is not something that you can do the rest of your life, it's not going to work, okay? So we'll talk about that. After that, it's addressing the mindset blocks that you don't even realize you have. Don't just try to rely on discipline. I promise you it's not going to work. Yes, discipline is a skill that you will develop throughout this process, but it's not something that, like, if you're not an expert at discipline right now, don't give yourself a plan that requires expert level discipline. Like, you may stick to it for a week, at most a month. I doubt even that though, right? And so we need to make sure that our plan is realistic and that we're laying down a very solid foundation. And we want to make sure that you're actually becoming the woman capable of seeing results. Because I'm going to say something, it sounds harsh and I mean it with so much love, okay? If you've never gotten the results that you want before and sustained it for years, for long amounts of time, even if you saw the results, but you only had that for like a few months and then you went right back, that's not true maintenance, then you are not currently the woman who is capable of doing that. And that's okay. That's okay, because we can change some things. So we're going to talk about rewiring your brain, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, of course, the final step is just get and keep the body you always wanted but never thought that you could have, okay? So we are going to start off here with, let me move me over here, the root cause reset. So why are you not seeing results, right? So here's the truth that most fitness programs won't tell you. If you're working out consistently, eating well, and still not seeing results, the problem is not effort, right? It's not that discipline that we talked about. There's actually something else that's working against you. And until you identify what that is, then you can continue to do everything right and still spin your wheels and not see results. So this is what I call the root cause reset, and really just going detective mode, that's what I call it, on your body and life to really figure out what is blocking your progress. So pause the video right now and grab yourself a journal and a pen. And I say journal because I want this to be something that you keep and hold on to, not just like a sheet of paper you write on and throw away. So pause the video and grab that, and then we're going to do this activity. So We're gonna do some reflection. We need to really sit here and think about all of the reasons you have ever fallen off your fitness plan before. You're gonna list all of them, okay? So maybe time constraints, feeling busy at work or, travel or that kind of thing. Stress, maybe energy levels. Consider your mindset patterns. So have you ever said, oh, I'm just like kind of all in or all out. I'm all or nothing kind of person, right? If I'm gonna do it, I wanna be all in. That's a problem, okay? That will never produce results. So we need to think about that. We need to think about, do you just start to give up the second it feels hard? Do you give up the second that you don't see results? Think about your nutrition. Are you tracking calories or macros over long periods of time? If not, I'll tell you right now, that's the reason you're not seeing results. I'm not saying that it's impossible to see results without tracking, but without tracking is gambling, you're rolling the dice, and fingers crossed I see results, okay? That's exactly what not tracking is. Same thing with workouts. Are you doing random workouts or are you following progressive overload? Because if we want to have tone, your body needs to be hard, not soft, okay? So following progressive overload is what makes a harder body, not soft. So that means we have to track our workouts. You can't just like in your head go, okay, I did squats with a 30-pound weight, so next week I'll know to do 35. That does not work over very long periods of time. I bet you can't even tell me what you ate 3 days ago. So you can't do it in your head. You have to track it, okay? So tracking your workouts, following progressive overload. How many workouts do you do per month? The reason I'm saying per month is because if your goal is to work out, let's say 3 times a week, and you know that you hit that, sometimes you don't kind of hit that, right? Sometimes you do a little bit more. But if you were to actually go back and look at a full month, you may only be at 7 workouts per month. That's less than 2 times per week, but in your head, you thought you were doing 3 because you didn't realize how many you actually missed. Again, don't trust up here, okay? You have to log and write everything down throughout this journey, okay? And you need to go back and audit it because again, you can aim for 3 times a week. It doesn't mean you're hitting 3 times a week. So you have to go back and look, did I actually get those 12 workouts in a month? And if you don't, if you miss one, you slide it to the next week, right? So again, just are you tracking them? So, and there's so much more that goes to this too. So really do some time, do some reflection. If you need to pause the video again now to continue to reflect on those things, you should. Because if your plan does not address your roadblocks, you will continue to fall off for the same reasons again, over and over for the rest of your life. You will stay on the health and fitness roller coaster. So let me just give you some examples. If I said the tracking thing right now and you're like, oh, I'm not tracking, start tracking, right? Your plan needs to include tracking. If it's mindset, all or nothing, you got to break that all or nothing mindset. And until you do, that is going to be the thing that holds you back, right? So again, pause the video for a second if you need and do some reflection there. Okay, so let's now get into pillar 1, which is the exercise for women's physiology. So again, random workouts, if you're doing classes, you're doing cardio and your body still looks the same, we really just need progressive overload. Like I mentioned earlier, that's the thing that you need to actually harden your muscle tissue so your body is no longer soft and you have that toned look that you're after. Yep, progressive overload is the non-negotiable. So really what progressive overload means is your volume week to week increases. So volume is your sets times your reps times your weight. And every single week we want that volume to increase. Of course, there's going to be times where you slept terribly or you really feel off, you're on your period or something, and we're not able to do that. But generally, if we were to look at a graph over long periods of time, that graph is going up with volume. That is the reason why we need to be doing very strategic workouts, not randomness. If we always go in and do different workouts, then we're not able to follow progressive overload, okay? So if you're at home or something and you're not able to go heavier, or if you're at the gym and you just can't go heavier on a lift, increase your reps or add in a whole extra set. Again, making sure that you're tracking your workouts. Again, if you don't have that data, then you can't follow the progressive overload. Also, making sure that you're really reaching muscle fatigue. And now this is a skill that may need to be developed. So like you may not be able to do that when you first go in, but over time you want to be able to train yourself to be able to really push yourself more and more and more. Like really think, okay, if I had gotten to my head, how many more reps could I do? If I really could actually do another 10 reps, if I really had to, then it probably wasn't heavy enough, okay? So those last couple of reps should feel quite exhausting. And then another thing to think about is like improving your form. The more you actually get your muscles engaged and you do things correctly, that kind of counts as progressive overload. So maybe if you're not able to go heavier because you're really getting your form down, then sometimes that can count as your progressive overload, but we can't just like go in and do the same weight for months. Like that's not progressive overload, if that makes sense. So if it's one of those things where you're like, you know, I'm doing squats, but I can't feel my glutes, let me hold off on going a little heavier, but I could go higher in reps, or I could add an extra an extra set as I'm working on feeling more glute. And then the more and more I feel my muscles engage, then knowing that will help you like tone your body. I think of toning the body as like, I just envision like sculpting like a Greek god statue out of marble. Like you're just chiseling away at it. So that's kind of what I think of. Another thing is more cardio does not equal more tone. If I go back and show you guys actually just my own pictures, which again, remember Molly there was doing a lot of cardio. This first photo, this is the definition of skinny fat. I had such little muscle tissue in this photo. See how much smaller I am than this photo? I have 10 pounds of lean tissue more in this second photo than I do the first. In this first one, I was running 6 miles a day. Okay, cardio does not equal tone. So just so you guys know that. Let me come back down here. So more cardio does not equal more tone. So strength training is going to actually build like that shape of the muscle, and nutrition will reveal it by allowing the body fat to come down. So I will link here in this YouTube video, it's another YouTube video that I have to a free 3-time-a-week workout plan. So you can see that here in the notes of this video. Some common misconceptions. Lifting will not make you bulky, right? So excess body fat is what makes you bulky. So again, like think of those photos I just showed you. Again, I have 10 pounds more of lean tissue here. And I weigh a lot less. It's because I have so much less body fat. Same thing here, 10 pounds more. Look at how much smaller I am. Look at how much smaller my waist is. And again, it's not about being small. It's about being healthy, right? I have more lean tissue here than I did here, okay? I had just lost so much more body fat. Again, this is like that skinny fat phenomenon. So I just lost enough body fat and I had more of that muscle take place of that body fat, which is why I look so different. Okay, so coming back down. So yeah, the lifting doesn't make you bulky. Like think of this, like you've never, I guarantee you've never become a NASCAR driver just by driving your car every day. So when we think about lifting, it's so difficult to actually build muscle, like very difficult. You have to be so locked in doing something very strategic in order to do that. You're not going to accidentally do that, okay? So just so you know, the body fat on top of the muscle is what makes that bulky look, okay? Let's see. Yep, you don't need to change your workouts based on your cycle. So human bodies are pretty freaking resilient. And the more you teach yourself, or the more you like talk to yourself as if you're fragile, like, oh, I'm on my period, I can't work out this week, you will stay fragile, okay? We do not want to be fragile. We want to be 70 and up and walking and playing with our grandkids and all of those things. We don't ever want to have to struggle to get off the couch, okay? We don't want to be fragile, all right? So you don't need to change your workouts just because you're on your cycle. Now, there may be days, especially around your cycle sometimes, where, okay, you can't lift as heavy, or, you know, you didn't sleep well. Maybe I can only do 20 minutes of the workout instead of my normal hour. That's okay for that to happen sometimes, right? But don't think just because you're on your period, you can't go lift weights, because you absolutely can. I've had many times where I'm on my period and I'm like, oh, I don't feel good, my energy is low, but I'm just gonna go to the gym, I'll just do what I can, and then I end up being stronger that day. So sometimes you surprise yourself. The other thing to remember is that any workout is better than none. I would so much rather you go to the gym and literally only do 10 minutes than not do anything, because it's the habit, right? When we start to get into, it's really the all or nothing mindset thinking of like, oh, well, I can't go get a perfect hour workout in, so I shouldn't even go. That will never get you results, okay? Anything is better than nothing. So next, let's talk about the pillar 2, which is nutrition that you love and that gets you results. So most women that, think they eat pretty healthy, and a lot of them do, but like I mentioned earlier, eating healthy and eating in a way that supports fat loss and muscle tone are two very different things. So without that data, you're really guessing. Guessing keeps you spinning your wheels. So we're going to talk about the power of tracking macros. Move me just a little bit more over here. So macronutrients, right, our protein, our carbs, and fat are the building blocks of your body composition, right? So tracking them removes the guesswork and gives you a system that actually produces results. There's no such thing as intuitive eating when it comes to changing your body composition. That's not a thing. It's not possible. We're not going to listen to your body here. No, we're going to follow macros, okay? Because, well, if I listened to my body, I would be eating chocolate chip cookies by the freaking dozen every night, okay? So the other thing with this is your brain is not a calculator in terms of like, it is not physically possible for any human being to eat food and know that they hit their macro goals. Like, you have to track to do that, okay? So I reiterate this because tracking is so important. And again, I'm not saying it's not possible to see results not tracking, but it's a gamble. It's not guaranteed, right? When you find the right macros that work for you, it is guaranteed. So here's just a couple of things that people discover when they start tracking. And then I'm going to talk about, if you're like, girl, I've tracked before and I still didn't see results, we'll talk about that too. So you're probably eating a lot less protein than you think. So remember earlier I said I really like to something like I pride myself on is I give my clients as many calories as possible in order to lose fat, because you cannot gain fat from excess protein. You can only gain fat from excess carbs and fat. So if you do a higher protein diet, you get away with more calories. Also, calories from healthy foods can add up so fast. Like earlier when I was talking about Molly with the nuts, right? Avocado, olive oil. I've had clients literally just start measuring their olive oil and start seeing results. So they're amazing foods, right? They're really good for you, but it's easy to overdo it calorie-wise and like struggle to lose body fat because of that. So we just want to make sure that we're aware of that. Yeah, hitting protein changes everything, like I mentioned. They're also hitting higher protein. It helps stabilize your energy. Your cravings will go down as well. I have so many clients that are like, oh, I don't like that sweet tooth after meals is gone now, right? So another thing is that you don't have to be perfect, just consistent. So tracking within, 10, sometimes even a little bit more of your goals is enough to really see change. I have so many clients who, they do really, really well, then they go out to eat a couple of times, and then they have a new weight low the day after going out to eat, and they're like, what happened? And it's like, your foundation is good enough, right? When it comes to seeing results, we just have to get to a certain threshold. Now, let me be clear. I do not think balance exists, because the definition of balance is equal parts, really, right? That's what balance is, equal parts. We cannot do equal parts in order to see results. We have to do more than, eat healthy more, do workouts more in order to truly see results. But that being said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be all the way up here, right? We got to be like here, okay? And so a lot of the times people just don't understand where this area is, okay? So again, that's why tracking is so great, because you can pull yourself all the way up and then start to come down and realize, whoa, there's actually all this wiggle room I do have, okay? Let's see. So I'm also going to link my macro calculator here in this YouTube video, so that way you can estimate what the right macros for you are. One thing I will say about that is it's a generalized estimation, okay? So if you want something more custom, we'll talk about how you're able to work with me one-on-one. And this is not a me withholding information thing. It has everything to do with, in order for me to give you the absolute most custom version of macros possible, I would have to get on a Zoom call with you and collect a lot of information from you in order to do that, because there's just a lot that goes into that. So because this is just like, hey, I'm giving you a link, it's more generalized, okay? So just keep that in mind. And then you want to track your food for 90 days in a row. Every single day you want to track when you're going out to eat. If there's alcohol, you want to track that. And then I think I mentioned a couple more things here that I did want to talk about is, okay, when you change, actually, sorry, I was going to say something about the tracking. I just think that it was a bullet point down here. Yeah, so let me just touch on these ones actually. So tracking your food, it really should not take more than 5 to 10 minutes out of your day. If you're brand new to tracking, it may take you a little longer because you've got to add all the foods in that you normally eat. You got to figure out how to do it, right? But then once you get in the groove, it really should only take you 5 minutes a day when you're in the groove of things. Even measuring things out, my food scale is on my counter. I just set my bowl on it, I put my food in it, see how much it weighs. Literally doesn't take me extra time, okay? So once you get used to it, it really is not time consuming. Never allow yourself to think, I don't have time or I don't have the mental capacity, okay? Because a couple of minutes out of your day in order to actually love your body and get the results you want is a very small price to pay, all right? So keep that in mind. The other thing is that tracking is always a helpful tool, right? The act of tracking itself is only helpful. The part of it where people are like, oh, it messes with my head kind of thing, that is not a tracking issue. That is a mindset, or, mental something. If it's like a serious mental health, of course, you go seek help from a real professional. Eating disorders, that thing, you need help from a real professional, of course, right? So I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about like, oh, it makes me kind of upset. I get emotional about it. Don't allow your emotions to get in the way of your progress, right? So just keep that in mind. Another thing about tracking is that you want to do it the night before, because if you just go into your day and you're like, okay, I'm going to track what I'm eating, and you start tracking as you go, that is literally like going, fingers crossed, I hope I accidentally nail my macros down, right? So you actually want to do it the day before. If you do it the day before, well, the day comes, you already know everything you're going to eat. You don't even have to think about it. You actually save time when you do it that way versus trying to spin your wheels in the moment of like, oh, what should I have? How do I make it work? And that kind of stuff. So always do it the night before. A couple of other points that I wanted to talk about with nutrition. Only pick habits that you are 80% confident that you can achieve. Once it's a full solid habit, then you can add the next thing in. So if you're like, I always eat out at breakfast, I want to start making breakfast at home, just focus on doing just that. And then once that feels easier, then you can add something in. You don't have to go from, again, all or nothing all at once. Balance doesn't exist. I already talked about that. Don't skip meals. You're only going to lose muscle. You're not going to lose fat from that, or, maybe you lose both, but largely you're going to lose muscle when you skip meals. And you'll stay soft, not lean, not toned, right? And then you're also way more likely to binge on junk at night or on the weekends. And of course, it just destroys internal health, as well. There is also a hierarchy. So any food is better than none. Processed is better than ultra processed. Slightly processed is better than processed. Whole foods is best. So if you're in a situation in which you can't have whole foods, but in your head, like you're like, oh, whole foods is what I should have, so screw it, F it, I'm just going to go order DoorDash, right? Like, for example, if you're too tired to cook dinner at the end of your day and you're like, oh, I have this chicken breast and this like sweet potato thing and I could, put it in the oven and I could cook it, but I'm just too tired, so F it, I'm going to order DoorDash. That's going from like best of the hierarchy to worst of the hierarchy. But we have all of this in the middle that is still better than worst of the hierarchy. So maybe you keep your freezer stocked with foods that you could just, do a quick meal instead from a freezer meal. That would be better than ordering DoorDash, even though it's not perfect, right? Let's see. Just because you're tracking your food with the intention of hitting certain numbers doesn't mean you're actually hitting them. So example, let's say your goal is 1,800 calories. Just because in your head you're aiming for 1,800 and you log and maybe you're close, some days you're a little off, it doesn't mean you're actually eating 1,800 calories. You can't say I'm eating 1,800 calories. You have to go back the previous month and look at all of the numbers you actually hit and take that average. That is where you're actually hitting. You have a lot of clients that think they're eating a certain number, they go back and do it and it's like, oh shoot, I was actually at 2100 or I was actually at 15. I thought I was at 18, right? So you want to make sure that you are always just auditing. The other thing is like, you don't have to be perfect, right? Just because, again, let's say you're aiming for 1800 calories. If you one day hit 2000 calories, don't get upset by that, right? It's just data, right? And so tracked data, even if it's off the mark, is so much better than no tracked data. I've had clients where we set them, let's just say 1800 calories again. They actually eat 2000, but then they saw the results we wanted. And so we get to go, oh, cool, let's just move your calories up to 2000. You get to do 2000, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go to pillar 3, which is rewiring your brain to become the woman capable of seeing results like I talked about earlier. Again, mindset is really such a huge missing link. I see this time and time again, very smart, very driven women who even know what to do, but there's something that keeps getting in the way, right? And so mindset is often just like a big missing component here. One of the biggest ones, especially for perfectionist women, is the all or nothing mindset trap. So I touched on this earlier, but it's maybe the number one reason why women don't see results, even when they feel like they're putting in effort, because you'll start off motivated, you follow everything perfectly, something happens and you kind of slip up a little bit. Then you kind of quit temporarily, and then you start to feel like a failure, which makes you just give up completely. Then you feel guilty and you restart on whatever the next Monday is, right? So that is a cycle that I see women really repeat for honestly years. And the fix is not trying harder. That's never going to work. It's thinking differently, having a smarter plan. So 5 of the biggest mindset shifts that can really change everything is progress over perfection. So an imperfect week of tracking beats a perfect week of quitting, right? Consistency over time is really what creates transformation, not perfect days. You will never from now for the rest of your life have perfect days, so stop expecting that. And the next one is motivation is only the cherry on top. Don't wait to feel motivated because that will always come and go. You build the habit, you build the foundation. Confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself, not from reaching your goal weight. I promise you, I have been there. And your best looks different on different days. So some days you'll have 100% to give. Some days you're only going to have 50% to give. But if you gave that 50%, you gave 100%, right? So we're not giving up here. It's just showing up how you are. That's actually what true consistency is. Failure is just data, right? And it's not even really failure either. It's not your identity. So every time something doesn't work, you just learned something. You learned what doesn't work, right? Write it down, you reflect on it, you adjust, and that is the process, okay? You're not a failure for not doing something perfectly. And again, you're probably not lazy, right? You're just a perfectionist and you've been trying to run a marathon in sprint shoes. I love that phrase so much. The right system built for your life changes everything. You just have to plan for all of life's little things, okay? Check out my podcast. I'm also going to link that here below as well if you would like to learn more about all the mindset shifts to make on your journey. One of my transformations right here as myself. So let's talk about a more custom approach. So if this is really resonating with you and you really want to get a little bit more custom, right? So you're probably someone who's tired of the negative obsession over the mirror. You really want to feel confident in your clothes, bikini, and naked as well. You care about fitness, but you're really ready to just break some of those patterns, get off of that health and fitness roller coaster, and really just create sustainable long-term habits. You want to get toned, right? You want to get lean. You're probably a little bit more type A, a bit of a perfectionist. Then you would be a perfect match for my program. Again, I will link the the application for custom one-on-one coaching here. So you can do that and fill out an application, and we will schedule a Zoom call to talk a bit more about what that custom approach would look like for you. And I also have my Instagram, I believe, right here, right? So my Instagram is at Elizabeth Fitness. So I would definitely recommend checking that out for more information as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to check out my Toned Mind guide today. This was so fun for me to put together, and I really hope that it helps you. You can also check out more YouTube videos here that I have as well. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Please come back and share your wins with me. If something in here really resonated and worked with you, I love to hear about it. So feel free to message me maybe on Instagram and let me know. I'd love to hear. All right, y'all, have a great day. Bye.